Hey, just a quick disclosure. Sorry if I sound a bit different in upcoming videos. My throat is absolutely murdering me right now. So, should I even talk to this? I think I should try out text-to-speech. Yeah.
There we go. And if me using text-to-speech bothers you, I'm sorry for valuing my health over this video. But regardless, let's begin this video. So, we left off on 0.3 part 2, so let's begin with 0.4. We start with some images of what happened across the previous episodes before we get a monologue from X-Gaster saying basically that he needs to quarantine all the universes due to their instability. So he sends X-Alphys to do his dirty work. She then goes to Underswap and sees Core Frisk talking with Stretch. Remember Core Frisk, they'll be important. Core Frisk basically says that they can't return Stretch to the Omega timeline, now remember that name. Stretch interrupts, asking if survival is really worth it. He doesn't want to see his brother die in front of him. Nothing matters anymore, nobody can fix this, but then, he just disappears. He's gone. Then X-Alphys drops in with his readings and briefly afterwards, they put that world into quarantine. I hate saying that word after COVID, and so there's nothing left of it. And that's a good thing. Yeah, let's go with that for now. And Sir X-Alphys moves on to Underfell and encounters its inhabitants. Asgore's about to attack when X-Metaton steps in. Then he makes quick work of Asgore, showing off the bat the strength possessed by our antagonists. Then suddenly we're with Core Frisk and Dream. Core informs Dream that they're on the verge of a larger threat than Cross at the moment. Core explains everything and we cut to X-Chara in an alley with Nightmare. Nightmare starts to critique the lack of negativity Chara is causing and Chara claps back with a very basic insult and gets tangled up and told he's still showing mercy, something that he just can't have. Nightmare basically explains his own backstory to him in greater detail than Chara could possibly comprehend. Nightmare lets him live and says they're going to a genocide timeline and Chara refuses. He says that he needs Nightmare to help him get that vial from Ink. Remember that one? Then Nightmare basically says he owns him. The deal was actually Nightmare's help in exchange for Chara's freedom. Of course, he never said that, but who cares, certainly not him. Chara says that the half of the soul he took is vanishing. Nightmare says he needs more staff, so he brings Killer on the scene. He digs and rips into Chara and it turns out, Killer is just a branch of Cross. Forced to kill everyone to feel something himself. That's actually something I never knew, that's cool. Cut to our main group, currently consisting of Ink, who's off-screen, Sons, who's simply existing, Fell, who's comforting Swap and Swap who's currently in a bit of a depressive state for obvious reasons. They exchange some words and Sons asks if they have any ideas. Sons goes into the new home of Outer Tail, where he meets that universe's version of him, Outer. Of course they meet in the same way you meet Sand in Undertale. The old whoopee cushion in the hand trick. But they both do it and I'm shocked that doesn't rip the universe into shreds. Sons explains that he's in a hurry. But they take a walk anyway. He explains some stuff and Sons notes on how lucky that universe is. Then they run into Nightmare and Killer trying to give Chara a monster soul. Sons says not to intervene and then we cut to Error up above dangling a soul above their heads. Then Sons and Outer are caught and of course this leads to a fight scene. Everyone's tied up and not in a weird way for you weirdos in the audience, when Ink enters the scene. This is where Ink earns a nickname I've given him over the while, Traitorous Scum. Because that's what he is. He's been planning to bide time to stop taking his vials and feeling emotions so he doesn't feel bad for what he's about to do. Then we get yet another fight scene, probably one of the best in the series, over the purple vial that I've mentioned once or twice. Ink wants to break it and release X-Gaster.
Okay, turns out the whole thing was mildly overblown, I just need to grab some juice, but now I can actually voice this video again. Get out of here, text-to-speech, Timmy! But yeah, after a brief monologue, Ink drops the vial. X-Gaster is now free. And so, you want to know what Error does? His solution is to tie up every single universe with little gaster grabbers, those little strings he uses to destroy things. So he wraps up every single universe and tugs a string. And boom. Rip. They're all gone. And you want to know what Ink can get X-Gaster do? They tie him up, beat him up, and steal that soul he was keeping. So, yeah. After that, X-Gaster gives a little monologue and then transports everyone to little alternate versions of their timelines where everyone they care about is there, but something about it seems very fake. And, yeah. Although Sans actually gets to go back to his real world, and, yeah, he's clearly, very traumatized, and everyone else is confused. And then X-Gaster presses the overwrite button and fully restores everyone's souls. And then he brings Cross back and reassures him that this wasn't his fault. And he gives him the choice of whether or not to join him. Personally, Cross, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's just my personal opinion. You might have a different opinion. Spoiler: he doesn't. So now we move on to Season 2, and oh my god, this sounds so freaking good! Listen to this soundtrack. Oh my god, this opener is so good. But, anyway, regardless of that, let's actually move on to 0.5. Anyways, right after that very cool opener, it's called Alternation, by the way, everyone's, like, confused and worried about what happened with Sans. You know, considering he's been gone for, about 4 episodes at this point. But, yeah. Like, they're genuinely concerned. Obviously, like, that's natural. Anyways, he comes up with a very good excuse, saying that a dog was trying to bury him alive in the playground. A beautiful excuse. I gotta use that at some point in the future. Anyways, it starts to rain, so they all head home. You know, obviously, like, you don't exactly want to be out in the rain for too long. Anyways, yeah, they get back home, and, Pirates has a look at Sans' jacket, which is obviously torn, and, just, in very bad condition, but, it was getting pretty old anyway, so they throw it in the fire. Yeah, throw clothes in fire, kids. But, yeah, Frisk offers to lend Sans some of their clothes for walks. I mean, there's probably something their size, given, you know, they're around the same size. Anyways, Sans basically explains, like, it was hell out there. Not too dissimilar from what Frisk did there a few resets ago. Yeah, just felt the need to bring up Frisk's genocide run for some reason. But, yeah, he starts to say, like, no matter what they do, they're always going to be trapped in the same cycle. But Frisk points out that they offered their help to Sans, but Sans refused it. So, yeah, he was the one who chose to go out there, not them. But they begin to talk, and Sans kind of rationalizes the situation to Frisk. So, yeah. Basically, yeah, that happened. Then, after that, Sans goes to Grillby to drink away his pain and catch up. But, yeah. Then Frisk and Kara have a bit of an exchange through a mirror. And then that's when X-Gaster appears. And then we get a little exchange where X-Gaster tries to persuade Frisk to join him. But, yeah, Frisk manages to resist for now. And, they haven't given in thus far in the series. So, that's a good thing. And then we cut to all the residents of X-Tail, including an aged-up Kara, as well as a drunk on emotions Ink. Yeah, Ink is literally just drunk off, well, Ink. Honestly, it's kind of funny. Brings a little bit of humor to this dark scene. But, yeah, Kara is clearly unhappy about this whole situation. Like, sure, I just realized, like, we literally got multiple reveals of this is the actual villain. Like, first we thought it was Cross, then nope, it's Kara, but nope, it's actually X-Gaster now. God, when are these plot twists gonna stop? But, anyways, yeah, we get that whole scene there, and, yeah. X-Gaster clearly doesn't like Kara very much, so, yeah. Anyways, moving on from that scene, because there's not much else to take from it. Oh, wait, actually, never mind, there is something to take from this, Ink actually got a gift from X-Gaster to go take to Fresh. But besides that, there's not much, so we'll cut to Metaton and Muffet making a baking show, which, honestly sounds fun. God, if only we lived in a true pacifist timeline, that'd be cool, but, anyways, never mind that, let's keep moving. But, Muffet is clearly bored doing this whole thing, and, it's a little, wholesome side bit before we cut right back to chaos, and we see X-Muffet and X-Metaton killing and eating resident souls. And, yeah, X-Metaton feeds off people off of souls, so, that's interesting. Sorry, still dealing with some hay fever. But, yeah. Then we get a cool fight scene. But, yeah. There was kind of an earthquake of sorts that may or may not have been caused by the X-Tail residents. But, yeah. That caused everyone to start evacuating, but there's also little purple cracks appearing everywhere. Anyways, yeah. Met and Muffet are basically screwed in this fight. Metaton tries to contact the office and, let her know about the whole thing, but, that doesn't do much, because, now they're both fricked. And now, it's not just Sans they use, because now we have the entire Undertale squad teaming up to help save their universe. Hopefully they can do it in time. Hopefully they can put a few dents in that traitorous scum. But, yeah, that's basically where 0.5 leaves off. And, just so you know, this video is probably going to be a bit longer than the other ones because I'm also going to be covering 0.6 and both parts of 0.7 in this. And, 0.6 is half an hour long, and collectively 0.7 is over 40 minutes long. So, yeah, this is probably going to be a long one. Just letting you know. But, now we're moving on to 0.6. Anyways, the Undertale group gets there, and, yeah, everyone's in a bit of a panic, and once they see Frisk, who in this timeline is the Monster Human Ambassador, they, they start to kind of, like, barrage, they were about to barrage them with questions, but, everyone starts holding them back and trying to get them to keep calm. But someone asks who caused all of this. Now, that's a very good question there. But before they can ask that, Harper and Burger Pants, Metaton's cameraman, get there and try to explain what happened back at the scene where Metaton and Muffet were fighting X-Metaton and X-Muffet. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, they're also referred to by numbers. For instance, like, Cross could also be called X, because, you know, he was the 10th episode of X-Tail, which I haven't fully finished yet, by the way. And, pretty sure X-Muffet is 4. Yeah. But they're starting to become infected with the whole... You know, until I can remember what it's actually called, or it's actually given a name, whichever comes first... I'm going to just call it the X virus. They're infected with the X virus, and everyone's saying like they need to like rescue the rest of the victims, and evacuate everyone. But yeah, all that's being drowned out by Frisk, who's currently a bit of a not translucent, a trance, I'd say, yeah. But yeah. Then Frisk is in, I don't know what it is, I'm just going to call it the black and white zone. And, yeah, we see X-Gaster just sitting on a wrecked car eating a burger, just watching everything unfold. And then he tries to emotionally manipulate Frisk to get them to overwrite, which they refuse once again. Then we randomly cut to the Omega timeline, which seems to be coming along quite well. Cross is there, surrounded by everyone, and Dream wants to help, but no P gets punched in the face. But yeah, my boy Cross clearly doesn't want to be part of this anymore. But then he talks with Epic Toriel from the Epic Tale AU, and she explains like everyone's lost their home suddenly, and they're all happier here. But yeah, in comes Epic Sans, and yeah, prepare for all the 2016 jokes. Anyways, he dabs and mouth flips his way in with a rubber chicken on his back, not really, on a very large dog. And then Corfrisk and Epic Sans basically explain what happened with X-Gaster, presumably throughout X-Tale, which, again, I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but, I don't think you really have to understand this fully, but, yeah. So, yeah, they basically explain that whole thing. But, yeah, Cross at this point is literally saying that they all just deserve to be erased at this point. Are you serious? Oh my god, I can't believe we're actually going into this. But, anyways, yeah, Toriel's there to help with that. Because, of course she is. She may not be the nicest character in actual Undertale, but she's a good character. And then after Epic and Epic Toriel and all those leave, Corfrisk sticks behind to try to persuade Cross to let Dream help him. Considering he gave that same shot to Nightmare in the past. But Cross doesn't want any help. He doesn't want to be part of this anymore. He just wants Core to leave him alone. Which they do. So, yeah. Now what? So, yeah, then we cut to Corfrisk talking with, actually his, oh yeah, Corfrisk's actually a male with his granddaughter, Poppy. And, yeah, things are about to get ugly. I think we can all tell that. I mean, what is it? Underverse? Or Teletubbies? Can't stay this happy for long without something going wrong, so anything's gonna go wrong any second now. But then we cut to Cross in a field when Dream starts to chat with him, and yeah, basically tells him the whole story of like how when the AU started self-destructing, Ink began to lose his... He would have lost his mind if it weren't for Dream. But before that, like, their differences and ideals forced him to kind of split up. But, yeah. He always knew that Ink wanted to keep him from Cross' creator, X-Gaster. But Cross refuses, saying that every time he's been promised his freedom back, he's been used for that person's own personal selfish gain. And he's not gonna let it happen again. He's consumed by negative feelings now. And, that's a perfect opportunity for a certain Nightmare to crawl in. Nightmare begins to deliver a monologue, like, typical villain stuff. And, after that, Dream clearly doesn't want Nightmare causing trouble, so, yeah. Then they begin to fight with Killer coming there in the coolest fight scene in the whole series. Seriously, this thing is so cool. Like, just I don't know, look up on YouTube, I don't know, Dream versus Nightmare Underverse or something. This is sick! Anyways, Dream's beginning to be crushed under Killer's foot, like his skull. But then, boom, out of nowhere, or kablamo! Cross comes in with a punch right to Killer. And, yeah, now it's not just Dream versus Killer. It's gonna be Cross and Dream versus Nightmare and Killer. But wait, that's not Cross fighting Killer. That's X-Gaster right there. You can tell from the purple eyes. But, yeah. After an epic, like, anime-style brief, like, scene, yeah, Killer's basically out of the picture now, and, after a brief, like, and, yeah. Blah! Cross feels a lot of guilt for what he's done lately, and Dream tries to reassure him, but Cross just isn't accepting it for first little bit. But after a while, he takes it in, and they're ready to end this. But then Nightmare jumps back in and restarts the fight, and holy hell, this is amazing! Cross is getting slammed around everywhere, and oh my god, Nightmare's trying to use all his pain and guilt against him by making... Oh my god, I can't describe this, it's so good! Oh my god! And then after one of the coolest moments in any fight scene I've ever seen in anything, this fight is over, and we can finally get back to the main story afterwards. Seriously, this is so cool! I love this fight scene. Just look up Cross and Dream versus Nightmare. It's so sick! Best fight scene in the entire series. Fatal error, you come close, but you're not quite there. But don't think Nightmare's done just yet. He leaves him with one final threat. Whenever you suffer, whenever you hurt somebody, I'll be there like your shadow. I'll make your deepest fears and insecurities haunt you forever. When the day of your death comes, I'll go after everyone you ever cared about. But then, Cross wakes up next to a tree, but X-Caster starts talking through him, and he has a little exchange with Dream and Core. But, yeah, then the real Cross wakes up after that whole exchange, and then, yeah. Then we cut to them in front of a bunch of doors, where, yeah, Cross gets a brand new look, which looks cool, but, it's not exactly clean. Like, not as in not clean, as in, like, it's not, like, allowed to be shown on YouTube, but it's not, like, let me just throw it up on screen for you, there you go, happy? But, anyways, besides that, and, yeah, they need to go find Ink and take him on the adventure, too, but, yeah. The way to get there is through Fresh. That parasite. Ugh. He's a cool character in this show, but he... Ugh. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. They disappear through a little door, and, yeah. But, then we cut to X-Gaster and the rest of X-Tail, and, X-Kara basically says, "What do you want from me?" And X-Gaster replies with something pretty simple. "I want you to shut up." And boom! Cut the episode. Great, now let's produce that. But, yeah. I don't want this video to be too long, so, I'm gonna end it here. We're gonna cover 0.7 part 1 and 2 in a separate video. And now once the final series is fully produced, then I'll make, like, a big super review of the whole thing. So, yeah. See you then. Bye, my fellows.